Episode number 5, series finale. When you help your company stabilize the improvement. You're continuing here. Great. Here we are done with improve phase. Now we will head to final phase of control. Basically, control phase is all about stabilizing the improvement on long-term basis. We're talking about stabilizing the improvement that we achieved for short-term or experimental basis in improve phase. In improve phase, we have implemented solutions for pilot or short-term basis. However, after improvement validation in improve phase, we need to scale up solution implementation for ongoing or regular basis in control phase. So let's continue with control phase. First step in control phase is developing and submitting control plan to ground level team to further implement it. It is a guiding document for solutions implementation, also called as a contingency plan. Control plan includes two aspects: A, monitoring plan, and B, response plan. Monitoring plan ensures regular monitoring of project Y, and if performance of project Y weakened on a given occasion, it suggests to check whether statistically significant causes are reappeared. If any significant cause reappears, then response plan suggests solutions to fix. Control plan also allocate responsibilities to appropriate authorities to look into contingencies. Following are the attributes of control plan. One, what to monitor, that is project Y. Second, what is non-compliance for project Y. Third, who should monitor. Fourth attribute or fourth parameter of control plan, what should be frequency of monitoring. Fifth parameter, who should confirm whether responsible person monitor regularly. Sixth attribute, what should be the frequency of confirmation. Seventh, what need to check if non-compliance occurs, that is causes. Check whether any, that is eighth option or eighth parameter, check whether any statistically significant cause surfaced or occurred again. Ninth parameter, are refined solutions from improve phase implemented properly. 10th parameter, if not, timeline to deploy those solutions. And the final one, who is approval authority to ensure solutions are properly implemented. Those are 11 different attributes or parameters of control plan. So how detailed the control plan would be, imagine. Once control plan is developed, share it with ground level team. Will you prepare a control plan for our current project in next couple of hours? Assistant operations manager replied, yes. So after a couple of hours, well, this is what the control plan they have built. So you have the first column, what to monitor, second column, what is non-compliance, third is who should monitor, then what is the frequency of monitoring, when and how frequently this individual should monitor it, then who should approve or otherwise, who's the one who ensures that this individual monitor this by properly. That's manager, right? What is the frequency of approval or frequency of validation or frequency of auditing, whether this individual properly monitors or not, right? So what we need to see if any non-compliance occurs. So these are the causes we need to check into, and these causes are statistically significant causes which we segregated in analyze phase, right? Then need to be checked whether refined solutions from improve phase implemented properly or not. If not, ensure solution is properly implemented. So these are the causes and these are the solutions with higher solution priority index. What happens is, once you hand over, responsibility of solution deployment to the operations team, they may or may not follow the solutions religiously, if I may use the word. Uh, so what happens is, if they will not follow the solutions on regular basis, this statistically significant causes may reappear. By the way, how we define them, right? These are the critical causes from the list of critical causes, which do appear quite frequently, which are severe, which are impactable, controllable, but they do appear quite frequently. So if we will not implement these solutions properly, religiously, then there are chances that these causes may reappear. If you deploy these solutions, we can, or we have fixed these causes. But on the day we will stop deploying these solutions, chances are there that they may reappear. Just like this is, we take a medication, there is a possibility that on the day we'll stop taking the medication, this may reappear. Just like your blood pressure's medications, right? So if you take it, your blood pressure is under control. On the day you stop taking it, you might see there is some high blood pressure, right? So hypertension is called, right? So you may face that hypertension, and that's why doctor uh, tells you that you need to continually take those medications for blood pressure. Same with the diabetes as well, right? The diabetic patient need to take medication almost on a regular basis, insulin for that matter, almost on a regular basis. The same thing applies over here. If we will not follow the solutions on a regular basis, this causes resurface, and if this causes resurface, this problem will also resurface. So if we have not implemented the solutions, then what is the timeline to implement the solutions? Then who is the responsible person who ensures that these solutions are properly implemented? And again, the approval of people who need to see whether this individual ensures that solutions are properly implemented. So two-level kind of immunity, right? This is the level one kind of immunity, which ensures that solutions are properly implemented on time. And this is the level two of the immunity that ensures that solutions are properly implemented by the team and properly monitored by the person who is responsible to ensure that solutions are implemented by ground level team. So here we have three different parties: ground level team, the shift supervisor, and the manager. Right. So manager need to ensure that supervisor fulfill his responsibility of ensuring that ground level teams are following these solutions. And if these solutions are properly followed, these causes will not resurface. And if these causes will not resurface, then your why will be under control. That is the power, that is the value of control plan, which comprises both of these plans, monitoring and response, monitoring plan and response plan. So this part is a monitoring plan and this part is a response plan. Next slide. Right, so these are next two causes. And these are the solutions for that and response plan for that. So monitoring plan and response plan for next two causes. We continue. Hope we are done. Now let's move to next step. It is control phase data collection. We have already prepared a control plan and passed it on to team. Team will continue deploying solutions. Just like improve phase data collection, we need to collect data of project Y for next 1 month. This is control phase data. By the way, why are we collecting it? Any guesses? Operations team member, one of the operations team member replied, we need to validate improvement again. So we will compare control phase data with major phase data. You responded, excellent, you're on right track. We need to validate, but in control phase, we don't validate improvement. We validate improvement stability. Hence, here in control phase, we compare control phase project Y with improve phase project Y. Sound logical? But before we go for statistical validation, we will plot control chart, a P chart. Great. So let's meet up again after collection of 1 month's control phase project Y. We will plot P chart first, and then we validate improvement stability. We will validate improvement stability. But for time being, sayonara. Operations manager is supposed to share the data of project Y, in this case, severity non-compliance per day for at least for next 5 weeks with Greenbelt. Operations manager is supposed to collate the data on daily basis for severity non-compliance, and for rather on weekly basis itself, he or she got to give that data to the Six Sigma Green Belt. So Six Sigma Green Belt, that is you, need to plot a control chart for control phase data, right? So you collected the data for 5 long weeks, and you need to plot a control chart, for this control phase data collection. After 1 long month, you collected the data, or for that matter, operations manager shared data on a weekly basis with you for severity non-compliance per day. And then after 1 month, let's go to the next slide and kind of see what has happened. All right, so this is what a control phase data you collected on a daily basis. When I'm saying you collected, operations manager handed over to you. So he collated this data together for day in, day out basis, and then he pass it on to you, right? So this is what the data you have. This is a control phase data collection. So you're going to continue now. Hello all, hope we all are doing good. This is after 1 month, okay? Hello all, hope we all are doing good. Hello manager sir, happy to see you today. We missed you last time. Operations manager replied, happy to see you too. And I too missed this journey last time, but I'm all in today. You replied, great to hear that sir. So are we all ready to proceed? Operations team, yes. He responded, great. So let's proceed to our next step. What is it? Can anyone recall? We discussed it last time. Operations team member, one of the operations team member replied, improvement stability validation and not improvement validation. And here we will compare control phase project Y with improve phase project Y, right? Operations team leader said, no, that will be later. First, we will plot a control chart, that is P chart. After plotting P chart, we will go to improvement stability validation. Am I right? You replied, wow, brilliant. Manager sir, they all are deeply involved in this Six Sigma project. They all deserve extra points in their yearly appraisal. Operations manager replied, yes, certainly. I have already talked about them and about you too with senior management, and not only extra points on appraisal to you all, but after successful closing of this Six Sigma project, a lunch on me too. Everyone clapped. You continued. That's amazing. How lucky we all are to have such a wonderful boss. Great. Let's move to our next step, control chart. It is statistical process controlling, SPC. Control chart monitor whether performance of Y lies within control limits, just like ECG for heart patients. Control chart is like line graph only, but unlike simple line graph, it has control limits to monitor whether performance lies within boundaries of control limit. If any point in a chart goes beyond control limit, it is a sign of abnormality. Investigating this abnormality earliest significantly stops further damage caused in a performance of the project Y. Most of the time, we find problem when it became trained, means when it occurs quite frequently. That's too late, isn't it? What if we find it in first occasion itself? It will be easier to control it, right? Like detecting cancer in third stage versus detecting it in first stage. Unfortunately, one of the prime cause we lose our beloved ones by cancer or for cancer is because of late stage detection when things are out of control. You continue. Business problem is also like cancer. Control chart detect it earliest, and hence it is very important to constantly plot it. In Six Sigma project, we should start plotting control chart when we hand over control plan to ground level team in control phase. Even though ground level team has already implemented solutions for 1 month in improve phase, it is still early days to make solutions deployment a habit for team. So chances are quite high that they may make mistake or forget to follow solutions. This happens. It is quite a common and normal thing. But this may worsen the performance of project Y. Hence, we need a system that can detect such a mishap earliest so that we can figure it out what went wrong. Which cause caused this? Is solution properly implemented or not? So to do this, control plan is kind of remedial action to take. And control chart, that is P chart, detect abnormal behavior of the project Y earliest. In P chart, we plot performance of defectives or non-compliant NC unit. Example, it would be NC part, NC transaction, NC shifts, or NC days, etc. Assistant operations manager asked, I have a small doubt here. Is P chart related to P value that we discussed earlier? You replied, excellent observation. P in P value stands for probability of risk, and P in P chart stands for proportion of NC non-compliance to total number of units or total number of shifts. Units is like a shifts or parts or even days for that matter. Let's take an example. If you collect data of severity 1 and severity 2 tickets on per day basis, and if definition of non-compliance is any day with more than one severity tickets, that day is severity non-compliance. If we have collected control chart data for 4 or 5 weeks, so 1 point on P chart is proportion of NC data, NC days in week 1 divided by total number of days in a week. Week 1. If in a week 1 we have 2 NC days and total number of working days are 6, like we do have Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. So proportion is 2 by 6, which is 0.33. This is first point on P chart. Likewise, we can have 5 proportions for 5 weeks. We will use these 5 proportion values and plot a P chart. One of the operations team member came up with a question, but severity non-compliance is when we receive 1 or more S1 or S2 tickets, right? You said more than 1 severity ticket. You responded, oh, sorry, that was just a slip of tongue. Mea culpa, my fault. Yes, you are right. Any day with 1 or more than 1 S1 or S2 tickets is a severity non-compliance. So as discussed, we will take proportion of number of NC days per week divided by total number of working days in a week. This is 1 data point, and likewise 5 data points of 5 proportions for 5 weeks from control phase data. Honestly, I must say you all are the best participants. They all laughed. Operations team member, another one, came up with another question. Isn't it little tedious to calculate proportion and then plot the control chart? Or what if we make mistake in calculating the proportion? We may plot inaccurate points, right? You responded, not to worry. Team Braid is there for our help. Team Braid has developed an easy to use tool for P chart, just like tool for chi-square and two proportion test. All we have to do is copy specific columns from our control phase data collection and simply paste it in tool. We will get P chart ready in just a couple of seconds. So are we ready to plot our P chart for control phase data? Let's take 20 minutes and plot it and see if any data is out of the control limits. So in next 20 minutes, they collected a control phase data. You and the team collected a control phase data, and you asked him to pick specific columns from the control phase data and pasted it in the control chart tool, and there you got a P chart as well. And you checked whether any data points are outside the control limits, and then based on that you came up with the inference. So what is that inference? Let's go ahead and check it through next few slides. So after 20 minutes, this is what a data you had, control phase data collection, right? We already have seen this data before. So this is phase column, this is date column, and this is severity non-compliance column. So this is control phase data. Let's go to next slide. Right, so use control chart data from previous slide to plot control chart, that is P chart. From previous slide, copy data from columns of phase, date, and severity non-compliance and paste it in control chart, P chart 2. So let's go back to the slide and check it out. So we are talking about this column, then this column, and then this column. And the couple of instructions are this control word supposed to be in a capital letters A, and secondly, there shouldn't be any space after last letter like L. You know, in a control, the last letter is L. So after letter, there's we're not supposed to have any space after this letter, right? So that's about the couple of instructions which we are going to read right now. Yes. Ensure to check data of phase column is in capital letters and there is no space bar. Click after typing word control. So after L, there's we're not supposed to have any space over there, right? So let's go to next slide. This is what the control chart we could see. You know, these are what the control limits. This one and this one, right? This is what the center line we do have, and this is what the data we plotted for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different weeks. So all these data points, each one of them are proportions of number of non-complying days in a given week, this week divided by total number of working days in that week. So total number, this is the proportion of number of non-complying, that is NC days in this week divided by total number of days or working days in that week. Likewise, we plotted it for we captured proportions for all 5 weeks, and this is what the control chart or P chart we plotted. But we were not supposed to worry about calculating proportions, as you already told to the team. All you need to do is just copy paste 3 columns from the control phase data collection, phase column, date column, day column, and finally project Y column. Just copy it over here. Automatically you will see the graph, or you will see the P chart over here, right? So interpretation or inference would be based on P chart, we can conclude that all data points are within upper and lower control limits. This is upper and this is lower control limits. UCL and LCL. This indicates that process is under control, and that is the ultimate goal we do have. We want project Y should be under control when we pass on the control plan to ground level team to deploy, right? So we need to ensure that project Y is under control. In other words, project Y, the problem associated with the project Y has reduced, right? So that's what we wanted to prove. That's what we wanted to see or monitor. And with the help of P chart, we can do that. Let's go to next slide. Right, so control phase contingency management. Based on control phase data collection, we plot P chart. Then if in case any data point goes beyond control limits for any week, Greenbelt need to investigate it and check with operations manager whether the control plan is properly followed or not. If any issue occurred in it is not maintained previously in pause log during major phase, carry out a RCA and solutioning for the same. Then update cause and solution log and control plan with new causes and its solution. And finally, by the end of the month, validate stability of the improvement and calculate sigma value. This is what we're going to see in upcoming slides. So let's go to next slide. So you continue. Hope we all are ready to dig down further. Our next step is improvement stability validation. Let's do improvement stability validation by comparing control phase project Y against improve phase project Y. So following our H0 and HA that we use in control phase validation. Please remember, H0, that is null hypothesis, is proportion of NC in control phase is equal to the proportion of NC in improve phase. In other words, it means improvement is sustained and stabilized in a control phase because proportions of NCs are equal. And then alternative hypothesis, which is opposite view of null hypothesis, says proportion of NC in control phase is greater than proportion of NC in improve phase. It means improvement is not sustained or stabilized in control phase. If proportion of NCs in control phase is higher or greater than a proportion of NC in improve phase, all it indicates is we are not able to sustain that improvement. These are the two statements we do have. On that note, let's move ahead. Shall we validate improvement stability for our current project? What's it? Operations team replied, yes. You responded, great. So let's use team bridge to proportion test tool and validate it in next 20 minutes. So the next 20 minutes, they collated the data together. They means you and team collated the data together, and then you took required data from your own data and then pasted it into two proportion tool, and you got inferences. So what kind of inferences you found out of this exercise? Let's look into it in next couple of slides. So after 20 minutes. So this is improve phase severity non-compliance versus control phase severity non-compliance. So what is the hypothesis? Has improvement sustained in control phase is what we need to check. That is, proportion of severity non-compliance of control phase is equal to severity non-compliance of improve phase. Proportion of severity non-compliance of control phase is same to proportion of severity non-compliance of improve phase is our H0, that is null hypothesis. And alternative hypothesis is proportion of severity non-compliance of control phase is higher than proportion of severity non-compliance of improve phase. So unlike other tests in control phase, we favor null hypothesis, as we want to prove control phase performance is same as improve phase. That is, all you want to prove is the improvement is sustained and stabilized in control phase, right? So please do remember this. We are going to favor null hypothesis here. Let's testify. This is what data we have, right? This is control phase data and this is improve phase data. And all we're going to do is we're going to club both of these data together, control phase and then improve phase data, and of course severity non-compliance. So we're going to take this column and this column, and then we are going to put this column and this column below these two columns. So below control phase, we're going to have improve phase, right, data. And importantly, all we need to remember is these words. It got to be in a capital letters, and secondly, we shouldn't be having the space after the last letter over here. So in control phase, after L, we are not supposed to have any space, and in improve phase, We are not supposed to have any space after the final letter E over here. So both of these data, one below another, right? This is what we're going to paste, and then we're going to take this phase column and severity non-compliance column. Let's go to next slide. Slide, right? So all we did is we pasted in phase column and severity non-compliance column, right, which we selected over here, right? So we're going to paste that data over here. Once that is done, of course, all we needed to do is needed to just type NC, N capital, C capital over here. Now in test type, we need to select the drop down of greater than. If you could remember, in improve phase, when we use two proportion test, we use lesser than sign. But here we need to select the greater than sign. Once that is done, of course, we got a table over here, improve and control, right? So observations are nothing but your total number of days we collected data. And here we have 13 NCs and 14 NCs. Proportion is almost 43.3% and 46.7% in improve and control phase respectively. So which is almost similar. So we have proven mathematically or arithmetically that proportions are same or equal, right? However, what p-value suggests, that's where we can say that we have also proven it statistically as well. So when p-value is 0.6024, which is quite high than 0.05, it means we will fail to reject null hypothesis. So in other words, we are going to continue with the null hypothesis, right? And that's what we wanted to favor, right? So what is the inference? P-value is 0.6024. It is very much higher than 0.05. Thus, we fail to reject null hypothesis. Hence, we can conclude that performance of control phase is same as that of improve phase. In other words, we can conclude that improvement is sustained, and that's what we wanted to prove. On that note, let's go to next slide. So you continue. Great, we have validated that control phase has stabilized the improvement. Congratulations to all. Now we are at final stage of the project, final 2 steps. Let's go to our next step, capability analysis for control phase. Just like measure and improve phase, we will calculate ppm and sigma value for control phase as well. As we all know, we calculate ppm, that is parts per million of control phase, with the formula of number of NC, that is non-compliance days, divided by total number of days of the data collection into 10 lakhs, which is 1 million. We also calculate sigma value with the formula of is equal to norms in V, in bracket 1 minus number of NC days divided by total number of days in control phase data, right? Hope we all remember that, operations team. Yes, certainly. You responded. Excellent. You all are supermen. So let's calculate control phase capability analysis in next 30 minutes. So after 30 minutes, so they collated the data together for control phase, then found how much is the non-compliances, and then with the help of non-compliance, I mean that is defective days and that of total number of days, they collected the data in control phase. With the help of these two things, they calculated your PD, right? So that's proportion defectives, and the PD, that is proportion defective into 1 million, in other words 10 lakhs, will give us ppm. Then with the help of the formula of is equal to norms in V, they also calculated the sigma value. So what you and team did, let's look into it. So after 30 minutes, this is what you done in last 30 minutes. So this is the structure of calculating ppm as well as sigma score. Let's go to next slide. Right. So total number of days we collected data in control phase were 30. Total number of defectives were 14. Proportion defective, which is nothing but 14 divided by 30, which is 0.47. And the parts per million is 0.47 into 10 lakhs. Actually, it is 0.4666. Right. So when we multiplied it with 10 lakhs, that is 1 million, we got our parts per million ppm value, which is 4,66,666.67. And our sigma value is nothing but we are going to calculate it with the formula of is equal to norms in V in bracket 1 minus this value, of course, in a spreadsheet. And this is what a sigma value we got, right? 0.08, which is slightly higher than 0. So when we started in a major phase, so it was minus 0.623. Then on an experimental basis, our sigma score was 0.17. And now for day-on-day basis, or for that matter, ongoing basis, our sigma score is 0.08. So our performance or our sigma score is almost sustained. That's what we could see it out of the sigma score. Our parts per million when we started in the major phase was 7,33,333.33. In experimental phase, or that is experimental assessment in improved phase, it was 4,33,333, 4,33,333.33. And in control phase, it is sustained with little slightly higher number of 4,66,666.67. But these numbers are quite close to each other, and we have also proven it with two proportion test, before this particular state. Hence, we can conclude that improvement is sustained or stabilized in a control phase, that is for a long-term basis or ongoing basis. So on that note, let's go to next slide. So you're going to continue. Hope we are done now. Let's move ahead, shall we? Operations manager replied, yes, let's go ahead. You continue. So finally, we have reached to the last step. It is plotting combined control chart, that is P chart. As name suggests, we plot a P chart for combined data of measure phase, improve phase, and control phase. The purpose of combined control chart is to show improvement and stability visually. If there is improvement in performance of project Y from measure to improve phase, and if we sustained improvement in control phase, we can see it in a P chart, that is combined P chart. Again, Team Break's tool of combined P chart came to help us. Only thing is, we need to combine data from measure phase, improve phase, and control phase one below another, and we are ready. Just copy few columns from the combined data and paste it in the tool. We will get the result instantly. So shall we combine three data sets together and plot combined P chart in next 30 minutes? So next 30 minutes, all you did with the team is like you combine three data sets, right? Measure phase data set, improve phase data set, and control phase data set. And from there, you pick three columns and then pasted it into the tool, and you got your combined chart. The way you did it in a control phase chart, right? This is a combined control chart, and we already did it in a control phase control chart, right? A similar thing we need to do. The only difference is here we are combining three data sets together. So that's the only difference. So let's see what you have done over last 30 minutes. So after 30 minutes, right, so combine control chart, measure, improve, and control to validate improvement and improvement stability for performance of Y and project Y. So these are the data sets you could see: a measure phase data set combined with improve phase data set and that of control phase data sets, right? So you could see in this column of phase, every single word is in capital letters, and we need to ensure that there is no space after the last letter of each word, right? So whether it's a major phase, major word, of the word of measure, or improve or control, need to ensure these words are in capital letters and there is no space after the last letter of each word. So all we need to do is we need to just pick this column, that is page column, day or date, this column, as well as severity non-compliance column and paste it into the tool. So let's go to next slide. So here we do have the same instructions. Use combined control chart data from previous slides to plot combined control chart P chart. From previous slides, copy data from columns of phase, date or day and severity non-compliance and paste it in the tool for combined control chart, that is P chart. Ensure to check data of phase column is in capital letters and there is no space bar clicked after typing word measure, improve and control. So let's go to next slide and see what you did, right? So here you pasted all data of major phase, improve phase and control phase. You pick 3 columns and pasted it over here, right? So you could see only major over here because this is a snapshot, but you do have the data below here too, right? So combined, data sets, you pick these 3 columns and you pasted it over here, and this is what you got, the combined P chart. So you could see with a major phase, the number of number of NCs or the proportion of NCs relatively higher than that in an improved phase. This is the improved phase performance, and improved phase performance is almost sustained in a control phase performance, right? So you could see that all these data points in a control phase are within control limits. So this is the control limit, upper control limit and lower control limit. This is your average of P bar, right? So you could see the performance. This is your proportion of NC for that given week to that of total number of days in the same week. And likewise, you could see you plotted the data over here from major phase to improve phase. Here you implemented the solutions and you have improved the performance. In other words, you could see number of NCs somehow got reduced from major phase to improve phase and sustain the improve phase performance in control phase, right? So you could see this particular bar is relatively smaller than this one, right? So this indicates you have reduced the NCs. So let's see what the interpretation we do have. Average P bar, as average P bar, this line, this amber color line, right, is reduced from major phase to control phase. So this is your major phase. It was standing here, and now it reduced in an improved phase and sustained the improvement in a control phase. So let me read it out again. As average P bar is reduced from major phase to control phase, this indicates that the process is under control, because every single data point is also within upper and lower control limit. You could see your upper control limit, a gray colored line, and here the blue colored line, which is standing at 0. So this is your lower control limit, and this is your upper control limit, and all the data points in control phase and of course in the improve phase as well, they are within these 2 control limits. So this indicates the process is under control, and non-compliances also has been reduced from major phase to control phase. This is what we wanted to achieve, right? So let's go to next slide. So that's great. You're continuing over here. That's great. Here we have shown the improvement and also we have sustained the improvement. Now, please make a folder of all relevant documents of the project, from project charters, updated process flow chart, major phase RCA and CI matrix, all 3 data sets. That is your major phase data set, then your improve phase data set, and of course control phase data set. Then analysis test like a chi-square test, then your graphical assessment of goodness of fit test and your 2P test. Then solutions, refined solutions, improvement and control validations, control plans, P chart for both control phase P chart and combined control chart. And of course, capability assessment and analysis. All these documents, you need to just keep it in one folder. Prepare a presentation and share it with the senior management. Requesting you, sir, to to seek approval on attained improvement from senior management. If needed, please show it to client and take their approval as well. So this is what we had. So let's go to next slide. Right, so project sign off and closure. Submit stability validation documents to senior management and finance manager. Finance manager will calculate project benefits and submit it to senior management. Then seek an approval for project closure from senior management through process manager, that is operations manager, or you can call it operations manager. Process manager is operations manager, of course, is a project manager. So you do have a different designation in different companies, right? Then third, submit Lean Six Sigma Green Belt project master file, cause and solutions log, control plan, and relevant guiding documents to process manager or operations manager to continue deployment of solutions for long term. You with a concluding note. Friends, this is the big achievement. I would recommend you all continue resolving problems with this advanced analytical problem solving skills. It might take some time to digest each concept, but please keep sparing 10 to 15 minutes per day and revise concepts. Practice statistical tests in Team Bread's tool. Those tools are really very easy to use. When I started for the first time a few months back, honestly, I was also blank, but I persisted with studying it. And then gradually I started visualizing the whole picture. Even though it is advanced analytical problem solving skill sets, by the end of the day, it follows logical sequence, right? If we understood it, we can master it. And even though we don't understand it in first attempt, simply follow the standard process shared by Team Breath. Slowly, you will start finding yourself becoming an expert in advanced analytical problem solving skill sets. And that is the beauty. It is indeed a golden pathway for both freshers, graduates, postgraduates who desire secure jobs, and for young working professionals who desire promotions and growth opportunities in their career. I thank you all for your time and efforts. All the very best. Operations manager replied, on behalf of our process and company, we are happy to have you part of our company. Let's continue this journey with more projects together. And yes, a small change in a promised plan, not a lunch on me, but let's have a party tonight. All roared, clapped, and congratulated each other. Here, a journey of the faster and brighter growth path started for you. Be the architect of your own successful career. Congratulations in advance, Team Breath. Dear friends, I'm Santosh Avsarkar and I'm back again to have a one-on-one talk with you all for next couple of minutes or maximum 5 minutes. Hope you found this certification of Six Sigma valuable. I sincerely apologize to you all for little irritation caused by background noises or video qualities. Please bear with me. As promised, we have two more certifications followed by Six Sigma Green Belt. One is Lean Agile Digital Process Transformation, and second, that is third, DOE-based process predictions and optimization. But before that, let's talk about Six Sigma here. I'm sure you have noticed, what are we doing in Six Sigma deployment project? Any and every metric that business regularly maintained and measured, we simply bring that metric under parameter of non-compliances. Whether we measure it shift-wise basis, day-wise basis, or unit-wise basis, like the metrics of processing time, S1, S2, that is severity 1, severity 2, ticket volume, defect density, average resolution time, ART, customer satisfaction, etc. We basically convert these metrics into non-compliances like PT non-compliance, severity non-compliance, defect density non-compliance, CSAT non-compliance, ART non-compliance. So these are going to be the new metrics. Next slide. How do we do it? By comparing performance of each metric against set or stipulated targets. We find out how much is NC, that is non-compliance. Then we set the improvement goal to reduce NCs. Then we find out list of probable causes and then segregate critical causes from the probable causes. Once we are done with that, then we check relation of these critical causes with NCs. Is critical cause a culprit leading to NCs? We prove it statistically. And then find out potential solutions for the same. What we do next? Then we reduce NCs by implementing refined solutions. After that, we validate improvement and further deploy control plan to stabilize or sustain improvement. Everything is standardized, absolutely everything. And that's the power. With this NCs reduction pattern of Six Sigma problem solving methodology, you can monitor and improve any and every metric. This is a standard pattern. After all, to solve unknown problem caused by unknown causes with unknown solutions is just like driving on the unknown path. Isn't it better to drive unknown path with known vehicle? What's it? We will save complex problem solving patterns for Six Sigma Black Belt. We will learn it later. I have already promised you that I'm going to train you on Six Sigma Black Belts as well. First, expertise this systematic problem solving approach of NC reduction. And it is not just for one metric. It can always be multiple metrics NC reduction across different metrics that we already prioritized with operational liver diagnostics and FMEA in a very first step, if you could remember. Didn't we? What are you waiting for? Go ahead and deploy the NC reduction pattern across all metrics, and then you'll find yourself becoming an expert who deploys $1 million worth business excellence and optimization program. One of the fastest career growth path globally. All the very best. Ma Bharati shall rise again to her full glory. Uttishta Bharata. Lean transformation and process optimization. Here we come to conquer you. On that note, if you like today's episode, please do click on a like button, share it with your friends, families, relatives, and all. And if you have not subscribed to our family's YouTube channel of Breath of X, right, please do subscribe to it. Let everybody get benefited out of this efforts, this drive. And that's what the goal we do have. Finally, Uttishta Bharata, Ma Bharati shall rise again in a full glory. But before we stop over here, let's thank technology companies. We deeply appreciate following technology companies for their technological support. So on this note, let's meet up in our next video that will be for lean, agile, digital process transformation. Until then, have a wonderful, wonderful time and do take care of yourself. Thank you so very much.